Hey, Raindrops. On today's episode, Reality with the King, we are recapping another doozy episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County. And my girl is back to do with me, the beautiful blonde bombshell, Alexis Bellino.
Yeah, I'm pretty blonde now. I went a little blonder.
You look great.
Hi,
You look so
everybody.
good.
Thanks.
You do? You
The
do? Are you,
wedding, the wedding procedures have paid off, Carlos. All the needles, all the bruising, all the swelling. It's now better. I didn't plump anything. I didn't put anything in like fillers, but I have Botoxed and microneedled beyond capacity. And thank you to all my doctors.
Well, girls, send them to me, honey, as a referral because whatever you got, I want all of it. You look amazing. You really did,
Thank
really
you.
do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, girl, we have to get into this episode. So let's just get right into it, honey. So the episode began with the continuation of the ladies having dinner. In this dinner, the cliffhanger last week was Tamra telling Shannon, well, look, I'm not the only one who's concerned about you. Gina is. So now we get Gina's response to that particular moment. And look, Gina's like, I was concerned, but look, Tamra, my concern for Shannon started when you took her out to have a drink after you two, were making up and all of those things, and that's just not something good to do. Tamra's like, look, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. Drinking is Shannon's love language. That's what she wanted to do. I didn't think it was a bad idea. Everyone's sort of split on this, but Alexis, what do you think about that? Is Tamara in the wrong for taking Shannon out for a drink, knowing that she may allegedly, have a issue with alcohol?
Well, I'm opinionated, but this one I am with the audience. I am torn because here's the reason why. Tamara's doing everything she can to just let Shannon know, like, look, we I mean, I get it. We both have effed up. We've both been not great friends at certain times, but we have a job to do. So I kind of feel that side from Tamara, but then again, I see Gina's side where it's like, could you have made up a secret handshake or something? Like, I mean, I don't know. There could have been something else, or let's go get a coffee, probably with a shot of Bailey's in it. But anyway, I don't know. I'm torn too.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm torn as well because the thing is this. If someone really does have a bad relationship with alcohol, the last thing you do is sort of introduce to them, they're not introduce, but reintroduce to them the problem. From what I gathered from the season, if I'm not mistaken, Alexis, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon never said she gave up alcohol.
That's
And
what
I
I was just
think
gonna
that's
say.
and I think that's the difference. The
That's
difference
exactly the
is,
difference.
yes, so I am siding more on the Tamara side of things only because if Shannon said emphatically, look, I don't want to drink anymore. I've been going to AA. I have a sponsor. Then Tamara is a bad friend. Shannon clearly drinks around them when they're at these restaurants, when they're hanging out. So if Tamara's like, look, you're
Yeah,
drinking, why not have a drink in solidarity?
exactly. She never Shannon never said I don't I'm sober. I'm not drinking anymore because sure as well none of those housewives are going to take Shannon to go get a shot if she says she's sober. So that is a very good point. Very good point. But I do still see Gina's side only because it's like, look, you can't preach all last season and all this time that you think she has a drinking problem and then go, hey, buddy, let's go get a cocktail, like, but, and then again, I see Tamara's side too. I'm definitely torn on it. But I don't think Tamara, just because of what you said, I don't think it's completely off limits when Shannon's sitting there drinking every single meal, every single morning when they have champagne. So she hasn't stopped. So yeah,
Yeah, she
you're
hasn't
right.
stopped. And listen, I watched the show. Shannon said that her DUI, and these are her words, not mine. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but she said, like, look, it was an isolated incident and that she doesn't have a drinking problem. Now, the person who also had a DUI on this cast is Gina. And Gina doesn't drink anymore. And I think that's the reason why, in Gina's defense, she's way more sensitive to the idea of what she's recognizing. And I think what Gina should more articulate is the fact that, look, as a person who had a bad relationship with alcohol, who had to give up alcohol, maybe there's signs that I'm seeing in Shannon that I saw myself,
Uh-huh.
and that's why I'm way more sensitive to it than any of these women.
Very true. Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, and I respect and commend Gina for, she didn't
Hmm.
quit. She didn't quit right after the DUI. I think it was like a whole other year or something that went by that she drank, but she originally, like, she realized and recognized, okay, I'm going to stop, and she did. And I loved her comment when she's like, "There, I'm what you call California sober," like, and she still, smokes a joint here and there. It's so true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, but that's why I appreciate Gina obviously being concerned because of what she's been through. And look, I think when it comes to Shannon, I will say this. I think Shannon has to figure out for herself whether or not she feels like she has one. As of now, it doesn't seem like she does. And that's her prerogative. But I don't think you should attack Tamra for letting her have a drink if that's what she's been doing on camera, off camera anyway. So I don't
Exactly.
know. I'm kind of on Tamara's side when she says, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. And we'll get into the rest of the episode. But before we get into all of that, we have to talk about the person whose job nowadays seems to be exposing any and everything Tamara has done. And that is your favorite person, Slade. Okay. So,
You know what?
uh,
I knew you were probably
uh,
going to go here. I mean, how can you not after that episode? But Carlos, like, I said it last episode that we did, last podcast we did together. He just needs to get a job. It's like he wants to be the next housewife. He's going to be salacious and bring up stupid stuff. I think him and Gretchen jumped on the tear down the Tamara train. Like, they're on that train. Tear down Tamara train, exit B. Like, that's where they're at. And so I don't know. It's the whole thing is frustrating. And it's like, you notice how Tamara didn't bring them up one time on her trip or at all this season so far. And that's all Gretchen and Slade can talk about. Well, Slade, who shouldn't even be a part of it, but Gretchen can talk about. So it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I gotta be honest with you, it's kind of gross. You know what I mean? So to update the audience, the girls on the trip, we have Emily, Heather, and Gretchen is hanging out. It's sort of like a slumber party. And Emily brings up, like, oh, I heard you have a song that Tamara sang at a recording studio.
Emily didn't bring it
Gretchen,
up. Nope. Gretchen's the one that brought it up. Gretchen goes, "Oh, I have 4 songs," and then she goes, "And Tamara has her song," and it's like Gretchen purposely brought that up. You could tell she could not wait to get that brought up. So, and then Emily was just like, "Well, now I'm not going to let it die. Now I want to hear the
yes.
song." So do I, by the way. So do I, and I haven't even heard it yet. So, I want to hear the song.
No, I do too. I'm like, is it giving Miley Cyrus and Beyonce, most wanted? Like, what
Tamara
type
has
of
admitted
sound
she
does she
cannot
have?
sing. She was not trying to like record. This was a funny thing between her and her neighbor. She was not trying to become Beyonce. Okay. Tamara, she makes fun of herself and takes her top off on television. Like she's just that girl. And so her and her neighbor were recording a song and it wasn't to go anywhere. It was just fun. And now here it is made into this stupid scandalous thing that's not there. It's not there. She didn't sleep with this guy. She's friends with the husband and the wife. So you can completely reject all that. Okay. Just one more
Oh,
thing
well,
that's not true coming out of their mouths.
well, well, let's get into it because the allegation that Slade has, and listen, I got to be honest, as somebody who enjoyed Gretchen a lot when she was on the show 17 years ago, I have to agree with you, Alexis. And I think in this scene, it was the realization that Gretchen's producer is Slade.
Thank you very much. You said it, not
It's
me.
it's girlfriend. That is her Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. That's her manager. It's
And
her
then,
producer. It's her schlepper. As you said, it is
and then,
borderline gross
but
watching
unfortunately,
this.
he didn't go to college to do that. He doesn't have the credentials to be a producer. So it's not landing well. So she needs to actually hire someone that will do it, and he needs to go get a job, like I've said. you know?
Well,
And then it
it's
came out, which we're going to get to, speaking of
go ahead.
job, it came out that Gretchen does pay for everything and he is living off of her. So it's like, I mean, and their whole story doesn't make sense. So yeah, but I don't know. I feel like Gretchen can be so funny and so fun on her own that she doesn't need all of this other stuff and to try to take Tamara down to be the cool girl. Like I just think she would have gotten a lot better, you know, receiving the audience receiving her better if she just would have just came on the show. But look at me. Everyone says that about me. If I wouldn't have defended John last season, I would have had a better, you know, receiving. But here's the thing. I didn't defend him the whole time. Everything else is on the chopping room floor. All they aired was me defending him. So that was just my job last year, was to have that be my persona on the show,
Mhm.
which is fine. However, it is obvious that Gretchen does want to tear Tamara down because Tamara's name doesn't even come up half the time and she's the one that brings it up. So that's the part that bothers me.
No, it bothers me too, and it bothers me because look, when you look at Slade, listen, I'm all for somebody doing fun shade. That's the nature of the show. What's becoming gross to me is the fact that everything seems to be pre-planned and pre-produced to the point where it was painfully obvious they wanted to get out there that Tamra allegedly slept with this person in the studio and that they actually have audio of Tamra allegedly having sex, which to me is disgusting, is gross. So we go from hospital to alleged roofiness to now saying this, you guys have a sex tape via audio of this woman and how apparently Slade heard it. And then, you know, Gretchen is not making sense because Gretchen
Right.
literally said that someone sent the audio to Slade. And then when
Yep.
Emily looks at Gretchen and says, you said you have the audio, Gretchen says, no, I heard the audio of Tamara in the studio trying to sing the song. So look, Gretchen obviously lied to Emily's face. And now I'm questioning once again, look, Katie has lied and we know that. But now I'm like, Gretchen, Katie is not lying when it comes to what you said. Now I'm like, look, I believe every fucking thing Katie has said about Gretchen at this point.
First of all, I'm so glad you caught that because I caught it and I was gonna bring it up if it would have remembered it. But I had that in my mind. I'm like, she just got caught lying again over something stupid. She could have just said Slade heard it or whatever. Instead, she said no, it got sent to Slade. Okay, no, the stories didn't line up at all. And the fact, by the way, Tamara and this other, you know, neighbor friend and his wife are ready to sue, so they better shush it. Like she's done. She's like, this, yeah, yeah, they're ready. She's like, this needs to stop. It's the dumbest rumor I've ever heard. It didn't happen, and I'm friends with them. Like, how dare them even say? And then Slade says he heard it, or someone heard them. The song went into that. Other people were in the studio, you idiots. It wasn't just him and her in the studio recording the song. It's like, I mean, it just the whole thing is just it gives me that icky feeling like ooh, you know, slimy,
Yeah, well,
you know.
slimy Slade slimy. So the thing is this. So you're saying that the person that they're alleging Tamara had
Mhm.
this affair with in the studio is actually
A
friends
bang
with
with
Tamara.
like, yeah,
Yeah, so the guy is married and they're both friends with Tamara and
yeah,
they're saying this never happened and they're like ready to sue, which is interesting because I did hear that you heard it too, how the names were bleeped out.
yeah. And that's exactly why, because it is to the point where, first of all, this poor neighbor guy is getting brought into a TV show that he wants nothing to do with, and the wife and him are friends with Tamara and knows that this is not possible, not even true at any measure. So it's like, you know, slander and defamation can be proven.
You're saying that this couple is pissed that their names are being used pretty much for a storyline.
For scandalous, salacious stuff that's not true. Yes, they're pissed. Everyone's pissed. Tamara's pissed too. But you know, I think if it wouldn't have gone this far, and it would have been just something little, you know, Tamara would have probably blown it off because she does it. She knows how to do a TV show. But now it's, yeah, it's just it's gross and it's a lie. So there you have it.
I'm so disappointed in Gretchen. I just don't think she needed to come in like this. I don't. I mean, I just listen. I'm gonna say this, and you're my friend, so I'm gonna compare it to your last season, right? Because again, there's gonna be people saying, "Well, Carlos, Alexis came out hot last season," and I want us to talk about it, right? In your defense, like you said, obviously a lot of things weren't shown, and at the end of the day, you are in real life getting married to John, and obviously his ex is on the show. You're a friend of, she's a housewife. The playing level is definitely not in your favor because you don't get a chance to say everything you need to say to defend yourself. And at the end of the day, you didn't come in with this conspiracy. Do you
Thank you.
like? I
Can
think
I
that's the yes. Go ahead.
That's the difference. But can I tell you something, Carlos, along those lines? So I would be told, don't talk about him. Like every housewife would be like, stop talking about John. And I was like, okay, I don't need to talk about him. He's not, I have a lot going on in my life. He is not my I mean, he is my everything, and I am marrying him in a few days, but he's not like, I have a lot going on. He didn't need to be my storyline. So I would abide by that. And I wouldn't even if we had a great night out the night before and I had story about him or something, I would not talk about it. Okay. Just don't bring up John. But every freaking scene, one of the housewives would bring him up and say something to me about it. So, by the way, as you can tell, I'm a passionate, opinionated human being. And if you bring up my husband, who I knew I was going to marry at the time, even back then, if you bring up my husband, I'm going to eat you alive. Like, don't bring up his name. And I will go get the proof. I will get the truth and it will be told. So that's what happened. And it was really unfair because I felt like I was damned if I do and damned if I don't, just like Tamara. It was like if I didn't bring him up, someone else would. And then they'd accuse him of something that's not true. Then they'd have pity on Shannon when she caused the mess herself. It's all of her mess. So I was literally in a tornado, but you're right. Gretchen's is not that. She doesn't have to bring Tamara's name up and none of it needs to be told. But I think when Gretchen came on, she's like, ooh, now I can take her down,
Yeah.
and it's backfiring, because Tamara was disliked last season just as much as me because she is my friend and she went down with me. Okay. She came down, ship sunk with Alexis because Tamara's my buddy. Okay. So that's a true friend, by the way, right there. That's someone who is a ride or die friend, which even though like she kind of screwed me a little bit on that last scene of season 18, doesn't matter. The truth is she's my ride or die friend. Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem is I think Gretchen was piggybacking on that and thinking, "Oh, good, now the audience hates her. I'm just going to take her down now."
Yes.
And it's not working because first of all, what you have aren't facts. What you have are falsehoods by a false producer telling you what to do. So get the facts before you bring stuff like that to a TV show. It is people's lives.
No, I listen. I could not agree more, and that's why I believe that Gretchen saw that the audience was not on Tamara's side, and I do believe that her and Slade had a plan to take down Tamara because they thought that's what the audience wanted to see. And look, in their defense, sure, that is probably what the audience wanted to see. However, the difference is it has to be something that makes sense and tangible, not being roofied, not going to the hospital after naked wasted, not saying this woman had an affair in a recording studio and you guys have the audio. All of that to me is when it's becoming to the point where it's I'm trying to find the right word to use without being so like Dateline NBC like you are, Alexis, but it's just it's dangerous. I just feel like it's not fun. It's
Well,
dangerous lies.
but yeah, that's what I was going to say, the lies part, because here's the deal, Carlos. Sorry, I'm drinking Diet Coke and I just had a hiccup. So here's the thing. If what they were saying was real, then people would kind of jump on board. But first of all, the roofie thing has been shown that it was a lie and that Gretchen's trying to backpedal and say she didn't say it. And then now the audio, they said, or that he heard it and all this, they said they had the actual, evidence of it and it was sent to Slade and then she backpedaled on that. I think that's also what's making the audience go, because the audience isn't stupid. They're not stupid.
Yeah,
So
no. And this is why the next day Gretchen wakes up regretting it. And let's be clear, it's because her and Slade had a conversation afterwards, and she felt like, oh my gosh, this did not go the way we planned it to go. She knew she was caught in a lie, and the fact that she's telling Heather and Emily, hey, please don't bring it up to Tamara. I just don't want to get into it with her. I don't want to make this a big deal. It's sort of like we are going to make this a big deal because you made it a big deal by alleging that this woman was fucking literally around in a studio, and you don't expect this to come back when you know how this show works.
And
I
by
think
the way,
Gretchen overplayed her hand.
you're filming a TV show. You think it's not going to come out? There's cameras there, mother effer. There's cameras. But you know, first of all, they got her naked wasted again, which they weren't meaning to do. But second of all, like Gretchen, that's why she was slippery loose mouth. I mean, she was wasted, okay? But it's like me last season. Last season though, listen, I'm self-deprecating, okay? Last season, when I brought up the videos, I didn't mean to, and then I was like, I was even sitting in bed thinking, okay, were the cameras still rolling then or not? And we weren't naked, we weren't drunk then, okay? We were just up talking, and I get fired up about Johnny because everything was not true that was being told about him, and I was losing my marbles by how many accusations and how I needed to calm down. And I'm like, tell Shannon to stop effing lying. That's what I wanted to happen. And so anyways, that's when that came up, and I put my foot literally like put my foot in my mouth, okay? So I can get that Tamara or Gretchen probably had a cocktail too many and then was like, ooh, this is fun, let's just get it all out there, and then regretted it the next morning. That's what I think happened.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna say this, and they haven't taped the reunion yet. I know it's coming up. Listen, as of now, I will be surprised if Gretchen is asked back next season. I just don't see a world in which she can recover from this.
I don't know. I
don't see it. What do you think, Alexis?
Bravo's its own animal. I don't know. They do things sometimes that are just doesn't make sense to us, but then I don't know. I can't even. I have tried to project the future with all of that before. I never thought
That's true.
I'd never thought I'd get asked back after 10 years. So I leave it to them. They obviously know what they're doing because it's our 20th season now. So yeah, whatever. Yeah. I can't project.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I want to get your thoughts on a scene that I thought was super sad. And one of the reasons why I do enjoy watching Gina. So, Travis, Gina's boyfriend, is trying to get custody of his children. And when it comes to the mother of his children, she's preventing their son, allegedly, that's what Gina's saying, that she's allegedly preventing their son from being around them, proclaiming that he doesn't feel safe around Gina and Travis has a court date coming up. It really made me feel sad. And again, it's one of the reasons why I do love this show, because we can get through the mess and the scandalous nature of things, but it's these real storylines that I think makes OC so special, because I appreciated seeing Gina emote about this. Obviously, you know what it's like to be divorced and to try to make things work when it comes to co-parenting. What did you think about what Gina and Travis is going through, and what advice would you give to them?
I mean, it stinks. That's why I said nobody wants to get married to get a divorce. I mean, it just is not in people don't walk down the aisle to get a divorce and then have kids hoping that they raise them in a broken family. It is the hardest thing for parents to do, is to lose their kids 50% of the time. And I think that the only thing Gina and Travis can do is be steadfast and stay calm, and show their truth in court. I mean, obviously, did they say this is going to go to court? Didn't she say? I'm thinking she said I don't know if they, but anyway, if there's a battle over the kids, it's going to go to court. So I just think they have to stay. I mean, lawyer up with the best one you can, and stay calm, and don't badmouth that other parent. Take the facts. Start journaling. Like I journaled everything all the time when we were 50-50, and then I got the kids full time. But I journaled every day what would happen, everything in and out. I sent it all to my attorney every time. Like you have to have the story behind it too, and the facts to prove it. My heart goes out to them. I feel horrible for them.
No, I do too. That's so interesting, because on the Real Housewives of Miami, that is something that Lisa talked about. Her lawyers recommended her to do as well, is to take note of everything, to journal every single thing. Is one of the reasons to do that, Alexis, is to have this sort of log of what happened so that you can defend your case in a court of law?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to, I mean, you have to have it. And that was the number one thing from the attorney was just Alexis journal every day. So I had, and I still have them. I mean, it didn't matter because we didn't have to go to court. They just moved in, but, which was a blessing in disguise, but I did have it. So I
Yeah.
think that Gina needs to start that today and maybe even go back in her memory and remember go back to texts and look at the text from her and Travis's phones and record things from that so that you can re-jog your memory about what happened in April, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
just stinks. And it stinks to be on a television show and have to, that's exploited, but you are on reality. So your personal life does come out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
No, for
raw.
sure, for sure.
She's relatable because a lot of people go through this. I mean, look at the divorce rate in California is like 75%. So a lot of people can relate to this.
Which is wild, which is wild. But no, I think Gina's so relatable. Again, we saw her battle alcoholism, the DUI, this relationship with Travis, going through a divorce from her ex-husband, being a single mom, getting her real estate license. Like, listen, I know Gina, Emily get a lot of shit on social media and whatever that's that. But what I will say is I think Gina has always been somebody that's given her reality to the show, and that should not be taken for granted because a lot of these other women do not do so. Which leads me to the next topic of conversation, which was the moment Alexis that went left, and I did not see it coming. So the girls are hanging out towards the end of the episode, and Shannon is talking about, what she is going through in therapy, her parents. Tamra, listen, as Shannon is emoting, and I'm like, okay, it's nice to hear a personal story. Tamara's like, oh, your father had a drinking problem too. Is that something that, you talked about in therapy? And Alexis Bellino, Shannon lost her shit and felt that Tamara had no right to bring this up on television, right? Now, whether or not that is something that should be kept private. I get that because the father isn't on camera to defend himself. So I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. The part that I don't get, and I would love to get your thoughts on it, it then became a question of Tamara's intentions in terms of why did she bring it up. And what we talked about earlier that I wanted to relate to in this scene is when Tamara said at the top of the episode, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. And I said this last week to you about I'm getting a sense that they want to ice out Tamara again.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think for 1 second that Tamara brought up her father's alcoholism to relate to the girls in the audience that Shannon also has a drinking problem. I thought that was a reach. I didn't get that
Well,
one bit.
I have to be honest because I have to act like Tamara's not my friend right now. And I try to be objective during this podcast so that the truth, like I want to speak the truth from what
Yeah.
I think the viewers think. Okay.
Right.
I think in hindsight, and I have not spoken to Tamara about this, so I'm totally speaking not, I don't know if this is how she felt, but I think she probably regretted it. I think in the moment she 100% was trying to relate to Shannon, be kind to Shannon, like help Shannon. I think after that she probably was like, yeah, it probably wasn't the smartest thing to say because I'm watching it. I'm going, ooh, oh, you're trying to get back in there, and then you just happen to just go there. The little, could totally be taken bad. But the problem is Shannon is very sensitive to that subject. She's defensive about the subject of alcohol in general because of everyone thinks she has a drinking problem. So I think that it really went low for Shannon, but I also think Shannon is just not gonna ever, I think Tamara's trying to do it for the show. And like, okay, look, we got to move on. We're creating a show here. And Shannon's just holds grudges and stays bitter and is not going to move forward. I mean, she's not budging at all. Like, and I do see honestly where Shannon could be like, that was kind of low, Tamara. Like if that was said
Mhm.
in confidence and that's the truth, that it was said in confidence and not to be shared on television, which didn't watch all the other seasons. So I don't know if it got brought up in any other episode that, her dad had a drinking problem. But anyway, any way around it, I kind of see where it should not have been said. There's other ways to try to relate with Shannon, but I don't think Tamara did it intentionally to start. You could even tell by Tamara's personality or aura in that moment. She's sitting there like really concerned, and she's like, well, this if this is festering inside, like you really do, she was coming from a place of caring. It sounded like, not like, because when Tamara's on
Mm-hmm.
the on camera Tamara, ooh, that was good. Anyway, that was
That's a good
that was
one.
I didn't practice
On
that either, by the way. On camera
that's
Tamara.
good.
When
On
she's
camera,
on
Tamara.
camera Tamara, you can see that she's like, can't wait to throw that napkin in Jen's face, or whatever. But this was seemed like a heartfelt, like in the moment kind of Tamara, you know?
No,
That's
I
my thought.
agree. No, no. First of all, I actually agree with you 100%. I agree that that's why I said earlier, I understand why Shannon felt like that's not your place to bring up something about my own father. I 1,000% agree with that. That's not Tamara's place to bring up anything relating to someone else. My biggest thing was I do not think Tamara had bad intentions
Right.
bringing it up to embarrass Shannon. I thought the same thing you did. Like, she's in the moment, she's trying to get back in there. And I think what the audience doesn't quite understand, and I think I'm curious if you know more about this, obviously, than we do because you're friends with Tamara. Shannon and Tamara were best friends for over a decade and had several conversations. And one thing I do know producing these shows, Alexis, is unless you tell somebody, do not bring this up on camera, what I'm about to tell you, there's so much information you know about a person that when you're trying to be real in the moment, it is sometimes hard to say to yourself, oh, the cameras are here. I should not bring this up because I don't know if that's something that's off limits. Whereas there's other things I know that are off limits. And that's the reason why I didn't think Tamara was trying to be a bad friend. I thought that Tamara was like, oh, I know this because we talked a lot. And that's why when she saw Shannon's reaction, she did not double down on it. She did not make excuses for it. She said, okay, I didn't know, but I wasn't trying to do that, and felt the need to leave the scene of the crime. But do you think the audience, and maybe you know more too, that Shannon and Tamara really had a real friendship at one point?
They did. They did. And I do agree with you on that. I didn't think about that perspective, but yeah, because but here's the thing, like Tamara knows a lot about me. I know a lot about her, and we don't talk about those things on camera because we have said those exact words to each other. Like, this is just between me and you, kind of thing. Kind of like when you say off the record, when you're talking to a reporter, it's like,
Yes.
so I think that, and perhaps it was because it was so in the moment that Tamara was like, oops, I guess now I truly, and I should ask her about this because I haven't talked to her about that, but I wonder if she did, like, after, on the drive home, kind of think, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because you
Mm-hmm.
have to go back in your whole 10 years of a friendship and go, wait, what did we say not to say? And what did we say was okay to say? So, and maybe Tamara was thinking Shannon's drinking issue is so public now, the whole world knows it and sees it. So maybe it's not a bad thing to talk about her dad now too, because it is out there. So I don't know. I don't know, Carlos. I wouldn't have said it. I'm telling you that. I would, if I was in Tamara's shoes and had known that information, I would not have gone there. So let's just get that clear.
Yeah, no, listen. That's why and that's the thing. That's why it's so hard with these shows because on one hand, we want real friendships and we want real conversations. But when it happens, the other person brings up the fourth wall and says, I don't want that to be brought up on television, which again, I get it. Shannon's 96-year-old father is not there to defend himself. And look, I'm somebody who has a dad, thankfully, who's still alive. And I don't want to expose his business to the world because I decided to be a person on camera, not him. So I totally get it. The response though so Jen felt like, no, I believe Tamara did that with bad intentions. I think she did it so that the world and the girls can relate Shannon's alcoholism to her dad's and see that there's a pattern and a history there.
Said, let me go get to the bottom of this, and went in, and legitimately I believed her when she was like going, and she wasn't trying to stir the pot. She would, like, Tamara, I don't remember how she worded it, so paraphrasing, but like, Tamara, what did you mean that was that meant as a dig? And then when Tamara says no, then aren't in a good place, I don't think. I mean, it seems like they're always bickering on the show. But then she goes Jen goes to Shannon and then says, "Look, I asked her. It wasn't a dig. She said it wasn't a dig." So I appreciated Jen in that moment for actually being the one trying to get to the bottom of it and being objective for a moment instead of being biased. You know.
I agree. I agree. I agree. And look, Shannon's like, whatever. I believe what I believe, and she left. Listen, like I said to you before, Shannon is great television. I, based on what I saw in this episode too, I am still going to say this. I just think Shannon needs a break because I'm over the walking away. I'm over not dealing with things head on and really having a conversation. She doesn't like Tamara. And look, what I will say is, in Shannon's defense, I understand because Tamara was not nice to her last season. And the things that Tamara said to Shannon was not nice. And I understand that. But you're either going to move on or not. And if your stance is, I do not want to be friends with you, then stand on business, stay on that shit, and don't play this sort of like dangling situation to where we're fine, we're not fine, I'm ready, I'm not ready. I think that's confusing for any friend to be like, where do we go from here? And I based on this episode, I just don't think Shannon and Tamara would ever be friends again. I think Tamara's trying. I think Tamara understood she did a lot of bad shit to her last season. But I also think Shannon is not giving Tamara any sort of path to have a reconciliation, to at least be friends. Maybe not best friends, but to at least be friends.
Well, my take on that is to kind of top what you're or like go along with what you're saying is I think their friendship would never be more than a TV friendship at this point. I think too much water is under the bridge. I think that it would be a working relationship, which is what needs to happen on these TV shows. Not everyone can be best friends. Not everyone can have a true friendship aside from the show. You have to have the TV friendships and you have to have the real friendships. So I think that that is what Shannon should try to do is at least have enough kumbaya. They're not going to call each other and go out for coffee. I mean, let's be real. They're not. I mean, and you're talking about how bad Tamara was to Shannon, but Shannon ghosted Tamara when Tamara got kicked off the show. Ghosted
Yes.
her after a 10-year friendship. So, you know, so I don't know. There's a lot of things between both of them that were wrong and that showed, you know, and then Tamara never felt like felt like Tamara felt like Shannon never actually like reached out and said, "How are you? How is your life?" It was always Tamara trying
Right.
to fix Shannon. But along those lines, when you said Shannon needs a pause, here's the thing. Shannon keeps saying in her interviews on confessionals that she's never been happier. But yet she's crying every single episode. She's never smiling anymore. It was even last season. She's not happy. So I do feel like she needs a reset button, like a little, maybe a pause would have her start getting into her own life, get a hobby, find something else that makes you excited about life again, you know? So yeah, I mean, maybe a pause would be good for her.
Yeah, I think listen, this is my thing. I think when it comes to Shannon, I think she's had a lot of bad things happen to her, right? And she will always get my grace for that. I don't think Shannon.
Self-induced. Self-induced. I have to be clear on
Okay.
that.
No, no, no. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Obviously, I was going back to the first introduction of what she was going through with the divorce from
Oh,
David.
you mean
And
like
David,
10 years ago? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
like there's a pattern here. I
got
think,
it.
listen, I may be the minority in this situation. That's fine. I don't think Shannon has ever healed from David. I
Oh.
I I I I watched the show and look, when a man cheats on you in that way and the embarrassment that followed and you have daughters, right? I think that and you're still filming a TV show. I don't think Shannon ever had the time to heal from
Interesting.
David and everything. like you said, and we're going to be honest here, that has been self-induced is because, in my opinion, she have not allowed herself to heal from what her and David went through because she never thought that marriage would end. And I think, like most women who deal with infidelity, I do believe she thought David would change.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I didn't watch that season, but I heard about it obviously in the news and stuff. But I mean, my heart goes out to anyone who gets cheated on for sure.
yeah,
And any marriage that dissolves, because regardless of whose fault it is, or if it's 50-50 of faults, it's not easy and it stinks. So maybe you are 100% right that that is what catapulted all of the tornado that is around Shannon. Like
yeah,
maybe that is.
yeah, yeah. So
That's a
listen,
pretty
we'll
that's pretty
see.
insightful.
Well, I try to be Alexis. I've been doing this for a long time. I tried to be a little bit insightful, so hopefully that gives reason as to listen. I'm asking for the pause only because I think she needs a year off to heal herself, and I just don't think she has done the work because rightfully so she hasn't had the time because she's been filming ever since that whole situation happened.
Yep.
But nevertheless, listen, OC is a Katie less season. My last question for you, Alexa, before I let you go to your busy, 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 busy life, my darling. Are you missing Katie from the show?
I am. I don't know if I'm in the minority or the majority, but and I'm even a little bit mad still about her lying about the whole audio and memo thing. But see how I can get over things because I'm 48 years old and it's like, okay, let's move on, everybody. But I am. I don't see a way that she can be around the women. It seems like they have iced her out. And they don't trust her enough to have her even in a realm of work realm way, but like of the show. But I loved her confessionals. I think she's funny. I love her husband. So I want more of him on the show because I think he's the crack up. And he
Yeah.
doesn't produce her, obviously. And he doesn't, he is a mate that's like, I'm your companion and I'm here to defend you, but I'm not gonna do your job for you or be your business partner. So anyway, I miss her. I do. I I hope that I thought that she'll at least at the reunion, right? Like I don't know. Do you have any intel on that? Carlos, give us the intel.
Look at you asking me the good question. Come on, reporter. I love that.
I
So
know you have
look,
friends in high places, honey. So you give us a little bit of goose, like I said last week, juice and gossip. Give us a little
yes.
goose.
Lucy,
I
Apple
mean,
Goosey. Okay.
I just hope she's at the
Um,
reunion and can speak a little bit of her mind. She's not perfect. We know she has a slippery mouth when it and but I don't feel like she has a heart like Gretchen has. I feel like Gretchen came in and is telling lies and just into destruction mode. I feel like Katie simply has loose lips and doesn't mean things to slip out when they do, and then she backpedals a little. I think they're totally two different intentions.
I agree. And look,
Do you
I
miss
think
her?
90 I miss her. And I'm gonna
Okay.
tell you why. Number one, I do 1,100% believe she'll be at the reunion. 100%.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
we get to see that for sure.
Good.
I agree with you, Alexis. I miss her because at the end of the day, she added something that was interesting to watch. Whether or not I thought she was a liar, and listen, I do think she has lied. However, she's not the first, the only housewife to have lied about something. So I have never, ever, ever asked for the firing of Katie Janela. I will say this: love her, hate her. She brought something interesting to the show. She it was, and that's why I said to the audience, she was this enigma. My opinion about her is remains the same, but I never once said get off my show. It was more so like if you can't handle the heat, get off the kitchen. But I would rather see her fight through getting her voice heard than what I'm seeing now. And I'll leave it at that.
I agree. I hope she
Okay.
comes on that reunion. If what you say is true, I hope she comes on that reunion and is strong, bold, has a voice, and says her piece to where Bravo's like, yeah, we kind of need her back, and hopefully the other women can, you know, have a little bit of a shift in heart, maybe just a little, just to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think Heather Dubrow will ever have a shift in heart with her, but we'll see. I mean, Heather is pretty forgiving, so we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. But look, Alexa Molina, I can't thank you enough for stepping into Reality for the King for another OC recap. Get on with your day, girl, and I will see you next Friday.
Bye, everybody. Friday.
Bye, boo. Happy Friday.
Bye, boo. Bye.